At first, it looked like just another TikTok drama, a viral video, a petty comment, maybe a little shade. But then, Billie Eilish liked it. Not just any video.
Brooke Schofield getting married after only knowing this predator of a man for 4 months makes perfect sense. Like, it actually makes perfect sense when you're thinking about the fact that she has BPD. And the way that she talked about her ex in the past, she's like, no, I was so brainwashed. Like, I'll never do that again. Never be unmedicated, you guys. People do heal. It's just the perfect example of you can never get rid of the disease that is PPD, because people are telling her, like, no, babe, you need to, like, get the freak out of there. He's love bombing you. He's a terrible person. He's a you know, he's all of these things, and she's just ignoring it and being like, no, guys, it's totally fine. It just totally reminds me of all of the relationships I've ever been in, where I defended that man with my entire life, and he literally, like, could have, like, killed my whole family or something, and I still would have defended him. Like, it's just so crazy how our brains work, how the chemicals in our brains work. But yeah, Brooke, girl, get a grip. You're already racist. Like, just don't do this.
One that openly mocked Brooke Schofield, criticized her engagement, and called out her personal issues for millions to see. And the like? It came from Billie's main account. The internet didn't know what to think. Was this intentional? Was it petty? Was it personal? Because if you've been paying attention, Billie Eilish has never hidden her distaste for influencers. She side-eyed them at award shows, dropped cryptic reactions in interviews, and even unfollowed former mutuals without a word. But this was different. This wasn't just a moment of silent judgment from across the room. This was public. This was specific. This was Billie stepping into a mess she normally avoids at all costs. So the question is, why now? And what does this mean for Brooke, for Tana, and for everyone watching from the sideline? Because when Billie Eilish enters the chat, it's never by accident. Brooke Schofield's engagement should have been a feel-good moment, the kind of thing that racks up likes, heart emojis, and generic "so happy for you" comments. But that's not what happened, not even close. Instead, the internet exploded, and not in a good way. Within hours of the announcement, people were already digging through her fiancé's past, and what they found wasn't flattering. Allegations, screenshots, old posts, stories from women claiming he had a history of dating girls significantly younger than him. Suddenly, the cute engagement ring photo turned into a full-blown investigation thread. Then came the timeline, 4 months. That's how long Brooke had known him before saying yes. To casual fans, it felt fast. To the rest of the internet, it felt like a red flag. The word love bombing was thrown around like confetti. TikTok started popping up analyzing every smile, every caption, every moment they'd ever shared online. People weren't just skeptical, they were concerned. But that wasn't the only narrative brewing. Some began speculating that Brooke was in a quiet competition with someone very close to her, Tana Mongeau. The theory? That both were racing towards settling down, and Brooke wanted to win, wanted the ring, wanted the fairy tale ending, even if it wasn't real. Soon, what should have been a private relationship became public property. Every detail was picked apart. Every post turned into evidence. Every smile questioned. And then, out of nowhere, came a creator named Ashlyn, and everything escalated. Ashlyn wasn't a household name. She wasn't verified. She wasn't part of the Brooke Tana influencer circle. But she had something more powerful: timing, boldness, and a ruthless sense of humor. She posted a TikTok roasting Brooke's engagement. Not gently, not passively. Full-on sarcasm, eye rolls, commentary about Brooke's bangs, her fiancé's past, and even subtle jabs at her mental health. The internet devoured it. 8 million views, thousands of comments, people stitching it, duetting it, reacting to it. Some cheered, others winced. A few questioned whether it went too far, but everyone kept watching. And then Ashlyn dropped a bomb. She revealed that Billie Eilish had liked the video, not a fan account, not a parody profile, the real, verified Billie. One of the biggest stars on the planet, silently co-signing a TikTok that dragged another woman's life choices through the mud. Most people didn't believe it, until Ashlyn posted a screen recording, and there it was. Billie's username, the blue check, the undeniable proof. The video Billie liked? It wasn't some harmless skit. It was blunt, scathing, and deeply personal. It mocked Brooke's appearance. It questioned her judgment. It implied she was naive, unstable, and possibly being manipulated. And now, it had Billie Eilish's stamp of approval. No caption, no comment, just that single, glowing heart. But from someone like Billie, that meant more than words ever could. For a while, Brooke stayed quiet. Maybe she was hoping the storm would pass. Maybe she didn't want to give the video more attention. Or maybe she didn't know how to respond. But then, she snapped. She found Ashlyn's viral TikTok, the one Billie had liked, the one that dragged her through the dirt in front of millions. And instead of defending herself, clarifying the timeline, or addressing the concerns about her fiancé, Brooke went for Ashlyn's looks. "You can't talk about me with bangs like that." That was it. One sentence, one insult. And suddenly, the internet turned hard. People were stunned. They expected denial, maybe even vulnerability. But instead, Brooke leaned into pettiness. The kind of pettiness that people associate with high school bullies, not public figures trying to protect their reputations. Comments flooded in. "She really said that? This is giving mean girl energy. Wow, she just proved the video right." And in the middle of it all, Billie's likes started to take on a new meaning, because now it didn't feel random. It felt accurate. Brooke had the chance to clear her name, to shift the narrative. Instead, she doubled down and gave her critics exactly what they wanted. Proof that the sweet, soft-spoken persona didn't match what was happening behind the screen. And in Billie's silent heart icon, people saw something much louder: validation. To anyone who's followed Billie Eilish long enough, this wasn't out of character. Because the truth is, Billie has never hidden her feelings about influencer culture. She doesn't chase trends. She doesn't do brand-friendly collabs with TikTok stars. She doesn't network at parties. In fact, she avoids the influencer world like it's contagious. So when she was caught on camera at the 2024 People's Choice Awards, visibly annoyed during a segment where several TikTokers and internet personalities were being highlighted, no one who really knew her was surprised. But here's where it gets interesting. Brooke Schofield and Tana Mongeau were at that event. In fact, they were seated right in the middle of the influencer section. And afterward, on their podcast, they didn't shy away from talking about Billie's cold energy. Tana recalled how Billie used to follow her back in the early days, and how she suddenly unfollowed after Tana started posting more frequently with Jake Paul. No drama, no fight, just a silent one-word comment on a photo. "Yikes!" followed by radio silence. That moment stayed with Tana. She even said, "She ate with that one," as in, Billie knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't need to say more. And now, seeing Billie like a TikTok dragging Brooke, it didn't feel random. It felt strategic. Because this wasn't just a celebrity being annoyed with internet culture. This was targeted discomfort. The glances, the comments, the unfollows, the passive reactions. They all point in one direction. Billie doesn't respect what Brooke, and others like her, represent. And she's done pretending otherwise. When you piece it all together, things stop looking accidental. Billie's side eyes at influencer-heavy events, her past interactions with Tana, the yikes comment, the unfollow, the tension in the room at award shows, and now, the TikTok like that shook the internet. One by one, they start forming a pattern, and in that pattern, Billie's silence feels less like indifference and more like calculated disapproval. She doesn't need to tweet. She doesn't need to rant on a podcast. All she needs is one click, and the message is sent. The like wasn't just a reaction. It was a signal. Because Billie Eilish is deliberate. She knows her power. She knows what happens when she interacts with something, when she even breathes near a controversy. So when she taps like on a video mocking someone's appearance, relationship, and reputation, that's not a scroll and accidentally tap moment. That's a decision. Some fans started to wonder, had something happened between Billie and Brooke that the public never saw? A private conversation gone wrong? An off-camera encounter at an event? Or was it deeper? A philosophical divide between what Billie stands for And everything Brooke represents? Whatever the truth is, it's clear now. This isn't just drama. It's friction that's been brewing quietly for years. Here's the part that makes all of this even more brutal. Brooke Schofield used to be a Billie Eilish superfan, not just a casual listener, a full-on admirer. Old TikToks began resurfacing, Brooke talking about Billie, gushing over her talent, sharing how she had a crush, calling her iconic, quoting lyrics, using Billie's songs in emotional videos. It was all there, receipts and all. She loved her, which is what makes this moment so painful. Because now, the person Brooke once admired, respected, and idolized just co-signed one of the most humiliating public call-outs of her career. There's something uniquely devastating about being dismissed by someone you once looked up to, especially when that someone used to be untouchable in your eyes, when they were your inspiration, your comfort artist, your safe place, and now they're liking a video that drags you for filth. Maybe Brooke's never met Billie. Maybe their only interaction was across a crowded room or a cold glance at an awards show. Maybe this is just a one-sided disappointment, the kind where only one of them ever cared. But to Brooke, it still hurts, because the girl who once said she had a crush on Billie Eilish is now watching her name get dragged, with Billie's silent approval lighting the fire. And no matter how much she tries to explain or ignore it, there's no undoing that like, no taking back that moment. Just a slow realization that sometimes the people you admire don't admire you back. As soon as the like was confirmed, the internet split in half, fast. On one side, Billie's fans rallied behind her. She said it without saying it. Brooke had it coming. That like was the realest thing Billie's done all year. For them, this was more than drama. It was justice. Finally, someone at the top calling out the fake, the filtered, the curated chaos of influencer culture. But the other side? Not so forgiving. They questioned Billie's motive. Why punch down? Is this really worth her time? Some said it was out of character. Others said it was petty. And for once, even some of Billie's die-hard supporters weren't sure where they stood. Because, let's be honest, liking a video that tears apart someone's mental health, appearance, and choices? It's not exactly subtle or neutral. Meanwhile, creators on both sides began turning the moment into content. Videos dissecting Billie's like, reaction TikToks, podcast clips resurfacing old tension, conspiracy threads about what really happened behind the scenes, edits pairing Billie's performances with Brooke's reaction clips. Even unrelated influencers started weighing in, chasing the wave of visibility the drama brought. And through it all, Brooke stayed mostly quiet. A few comments here, a vague post there, but no official response, no video, no public clapback. Maybe she didn't want to feed it. Maybe she knew that anything she said would be weaponized. Or maybe she just didn't know how to fight back against someone like Billie. Because this wasn't just public humiliation. It was endorsed humiliation. And no matter how the internet argued, the reality was clear. One of the most powerful women in music had just publicly picked a side. And it wasn't Brooke's. At surface level, it's easy to brush this off. It's just a like. People are overreacting. She probably didn't even watch the whole video. But that's not how the internet works anymore. Every gesture is a signal. Every interaction is intentional. Especially when it comes from someone as media-savvy and press-trained as Billie Eilish. This wasn't a clumsy scroll. This wasn't a slip of the thumb. This was a line in the sand, because Billie's digital silence has always been part of her power. She doesn't need to rant. She doesn't need to cancel. She doesn't need to insert herself into every controversy. When she shows up, even in the smallest way, it means something. And this time, it meant everything. For some, it was empowering. Billie was calling out the shallow, the curated, the performative culture that Brooke represents. For others, it felt cold, cruel, a betrayal of the values Billie once claimed to stand for: empathy, mental health, compassion. And what stung even more was the calculated coldness of it all. No explanation, no context, no apology, just a like. And when a like comes from Billie Eilish, it echoes. So, Where does this leave everything? A single TikTok spiraled into a multi-layered cultural moment, revealing not just one messy engagement, but something deeper. The tension between fame and authenticity, between admiration and disappointment, between old-school artistry and internet virality. Because Billie didn't just like a post, she flipped a dynamic. She reminded everyone that silence, in the right hands, can be louder than words. And for Brooke, there's no statement that can reverse the damage. No PR team that can spin it back. No podcast episode that can fully explain what it feels like to be dismissed by someone you used to idolize. Whether Billie ever addresses it or not, the message was received. And maybe it was never about the bangs, or the fiancé, or the TikTok. Maybe this was about something much bigger, the slow, quiet collapse of respect, one like at a time.